activities that you've been doing? His first message to you, I'm 11. She stated her age straight away.
The scale that child abuse is happening, if that was likened to an illness, it would be a national emergency.
Do you know what damage it can cause a child, this joking? No, it's not sorry.
It's just unfathomable how many people are out there doing this.
I was arrested for sexual grooming of somebody under the age of 16.
We are a real asset. There are thousands of us.
Our overall impression is that activist groups are not helpful to the policing effort for a range of reasons.
Don't start with the crocodile tears.
Yeah, we're not interested in that, mate.
On the road to Birmingham, in the car up ahead, a team of paedophile hunters.
We're just en route to meet the other guys, so we're going to be meeting Kong, and then we'll be meeting Vin and Stacey.
4 separate teams from the Midlands and north of England have joined forces to track down a man they suspect of trying to meet underage girls.
He's a slow groomer. I think he's done it before. He's done it quite a few times before. In terms of his language and what he's talking about, I feel he's quite a dangerous individual, especially with the amount of children that he's speaking to and the fact that he's not organised to meet or send pictures to every single one. It's only to one.
Paedophile hunting groups are often heavily criticised for being little more than lawless vigilantes. But these hunters are determined to show us they're evolving, more responsible than other groups, accused of driving some suspected sex offenders to suicide.
Yeah, we've got 7 decoys on this person. He is confirmed his location in the country. The ages are ranging from 11 up to 14.
For several weeks, Kong, not his real name, and Joe have been gathering evidence on the man they intend to confront tonight.
I've got the videos, we've got the conversations. They're all pretty much the same. They're all talking about, please delete the conversations. Age isn't an issue for him at all.
Several of their hunter colleagues have posed as underage girls in internet chat rooms, recording many hours of conversations, which they claim proves their target is a paedophile.
What we've seen through the chat logs on going into them is a repeated pattern with each individual child decoy that he's speaking to. His pattern is the same in each. He's trying to establish trust. He's establishing a pattern of grooming with a look to go to a conversation of a sexual nature with the child.
It's very, very obvious that he is actively seeking an underage child, very knowingly speaking to a 13-year-old about, you could even touch me on top of my jeans while we were sitting side by side at the cinema.
He goes on to suggest that he can send pictures of himself to the child of his manhood, and also tells them that they have to delete it straight away after, which is showing that he's being cautious and he's fully aware that doing that is wrong.
The man the hunters are after is out drinking at a Birmingham city centre pub.
So, OK, the pictures that I've just handed out are images of the male and a current image of him, what he's believed to be looking like at this moment. We've verified that through a video call, so it is 100% this male that we're going to see tonight.
As they prepare to confront him, the man is still chatting online to one of the hunter decoys who's posing as a 13-year-old girl. He has no idea what's coming.
Oh, you one side, me on the side. Yeah. Right, we're good? Everybody good?
We need someone who... I've got to
As the hunters head off to confront this man, we're just going to hang back a bit. We've seen before how people can react very badly to the shock of these confrontations. A few minutes later, the hunters have persuaded the pub security to escort the man out the back door where they're waiting.
Have a chat, you're not in anything harm. No one's going to hurt you.
Come round here, out the way. We're here for your online activities that you've been doing. This first message to you, I'm 11. She stated her age straight away.
Sorry for what? You're sorry you've been caught, you mean?
These hunters say they abide by a proper code of conduct, taking into account the well-being of their target. But listening to their interaction with this man, it's pretty forthright.
No. We've listened to your phone calls. We've listened. We've read your chats.
You're well educated, mate. Your chats are...
Do you know what damage it can cause a child? This joking. No, it's not sorry. You can damage these children for the rest of their lives. Don't start with the crocodile tears.
Yeah, we're not interested in that, mate. What about if they were children? How do you think them children would feel?
Oh, they're going to find out now.
The activities of paedophile hunting groups pose a real dilemma for the authorities. Their evidence has helped convict many.
Stay where you are, I'm going to take your phone off you. Take the phone, take him down. I've got him, down, phone the police.
But some groups seem more concerned by the shock and awe of confronting suspected offenders than gathering evidence for a successful prosecution.
For arranging to meet a 14, a 13-year-old, a 9-year-old child for sexual purposes, you sick all right? You're going nowhere.
And a growing number of these confrontations are ending in tragedy.
You're not a paedophile?
No.
Shall I put it to you are?
I'm not.
Do you like talking?
This is Nigel Sherritt, confronted by a group of activists who claim he thought he was about to meet an underage girl.
Huh?
You deaf? You're not welcome in the pub. Why aren't you welcome in the pub? Because you're a paedophile.
It makes for difficult viewing and all the more traumatic for those being confronted as these videos are posted online.
Listen to me, Nigel. I'm not a idiot. I'm not a don't listen. Don't treat me as an idiot. I'm not a idiot.
Within days of this confrontation, the 47-year-old took his own life. He had not been convicted of any offence and his family insist he was innocent.
There are teams out there that don't work in an ideal way. I personally don't agree with swearing and shouting and belittling that person, but I know that that's a standard for some teams.
The man responsible for helping set police national policy around paedophile hunting groups is clear. For the most part, the negatives outweigh the positives.
There are occasions when activist groups have carried out operations, investigations and handed material over to the police, and that has resulted in dangerous paedophiles being locked up and sentenced to custodial sentences. However, our overall impression is that activist groups are not helpful to the policing effort for a range of reasons. The operations that we've seen them carry out have resulted in people with mental health issues, young offenders who have got learning difficulties being targeted, people who aren't actually paedophiles. That's one of our concerns. Another concern is that the sophistication of some of these activist groups is really, really low, and it's obvious that they are carrying out their operations, so they're not targeting the more sophisticated offenders.
The authorities may have no choice but to take paedophile hunting groups more seriously. Several have now banded together to create their own national federation, bound by a set of common rules and training, with the aim, they hope, of working more closely with law enforcement. Regardless, they say the scale of online grooming means they're not going away.
The thing for technology has allowed offenders to be instantly in the bedrooms with children, and it's growing every day. More and more people are getting devices each day, more and more people are seeking out sexual gratification.
I was arrested for sexual grooming of somebody under the age of 16.
It's rare to hear firsthand from someone cornered by paedophile hunters, but Michael, convicted of arranging to meet an underage boy, is extremely bitter. Caught in a trap, but guilty, he says, of very little.
I felt really terrible about admitting to an offence which I feel that I hadn't actually committed. I wasn't actually talking to a 15-year-old. I was given a suspended custodial sentence. Being on the sex offender register for the next 10 years is just shocking. It's the worst, it's probably the worst punishment I received, other than the fact that it was made public online.
Certainly the vigilantes highlight the issue and how problematic online sexual grooming of children is. But the problem is that they don't ever actually think about the children. What they're doing is thinking about themselves, hence videoing, hence putting it on social media about what they've done, rather than the possibility of an online sex offender being identified. But should an individual who's not trained just sit at home pretending to be a child so they can identify online sex offenders? The answer to that is no, they shouldn't.
It's scary, it is scary.
As a paedophile hunter, Bradley has notched up around a dozen successful prosecutions.
I was regularly getting 100 different men message me a day, easily.
But his approach is different to the majority of hunter groups. He doesn't engage in confronting suspected offenders, but instead passes on the evidence he gathers directly to the police.
So there's two types of hunters, if you like. There's those that are trying to work with the police and get convictions and do good work. And there's the others that, you know, they do good work, what they do is good, but they do let themselves down by doing live stings.
It's unlikely many groups will follow Bradley's approach, as they believe these on-camera confrontations are a vital part of the deterrent factor. And however uncomfortable the police may be, they do regularly use the evidence collected by these groups. The Birmingham suspect, now in custody, faces the likelihood of prosecution secured by the actions of paedophile hunters.
I see it as a proactive way of intervening and catching offenders before they harm real children.
I haven't physically laid my hands on anyone, and yet I'm on the sex offenders register for 10 years when I haven't actually touched anyone.
I would be more satisfied if the people that are involved in activism in this way spent their effort in other ways, then that would be more helpful to policing.
My determination is to carry this forward, to create a force that has never been needed before but is clearly needed in our digital age.